Deep in the heart of the African savanna, where golden grass stretches to the horizon and the wind whispers ancient stories, animals live together under the endless sky. But one day, something unusual happened. Something no animal had ever seen before. An elephant started painting. His name was Kofi, a young elephant who loved watching the world around him. While other elephants played in the river and searched for food, Kofi often stood quietly, observing everything. The birds in the sky, the colors of the sunset, the shapes of the clouds. He felt something special when he looked at the beauty of the world. One afternoon, while walking near the riverbank, Kofi noticed a fallen tree branch. Next to it, soft red clay. Curious, he lifted the branch with his trunk and dragged it slowly across a flat rock. Suddenly, a red line appeared. Kofi froze. He tried again. Another line appeared. Kofi had just discovered something amazing. Kofi experimented with different colors. Red clay, crushed berries, green leaves. Soon the rock was covered with bright shapes and swirling lines. Without realizing it, Kofi had created his very first painting. But Kofi was not alone. High above him, a monkey named Zuri was watching. Zuri scratched his head in confusion. What is that elephant doing? He jumped down from the tree and stared at the colorful rock. Soon more animals arrived. A zebra, a giraffe, even an old tortoise slowly walked over. They stared at the strange painting. And something funny happened. Everyone saw something different. The giraffe tilted his long neck. I see tall grass. The zebra shook his head. No, that's rain. The tortoise squinted carefully. I think it's a tree. Kofi blinked in confusion. But he hadn't painted any of those things. News travels quickly across the savannah. Soon the story reached the king of all animals, the mighty lion named Baraka. When he heard the news, he laughed. An elephant, painting. That sounds ridiculous. But curiosity soon led him to the river. Baraka studied the painting carefully. The animals waited silently. The king finally spoke. This must be modern art. The animals gasped. None of them knew what that meant. But if the lion said it was important, it must be important. But not everyone believed in Kofi's art. A grumpy hyena laughed loudly. This is nonsense. Paintings don't find food. Paintings don't stop drought. Some animals began to wonder if he was right. That evening, a small elephant calf approached the painted rock. The calf smiled. I like your paintings. Kofi asked softly, why? The calf replied, because they make the world feel happy. Inspired by those words, Kofi created his greatest painting. Bright colors filled the rock. Swirling shapes showed rivers, animals, stars, and skies all mixed together. It was the story of the savannah itself. The lion looked at the painting carefully. Then he spoke slowly. This is not just modern art. This is the story of our savannah. The animals cheered loudly. And Kofi realized something special. His art had brought everyone together. The next morning, something surprising happened. Animals from across the savannah began arriving early. Zebras, giraffes, monkeys, even curious birds flew down from the sky. Everyone wanted to see the elephant who could paint. Kofi felt nervous, but he lifted his trunk and began painting again. Kofi started experimenting with colors. Red from clay, purple from berries, green from crushed leaves, Yellow from flower pollen. The savanna itself had become his paint box. The monkey Zuri quickly saw an opportunity. He began collecting berries and leaves for Kofi. Fresh paint supplies. He shouted proudly. Soon Zuri became Kofi's official assistant.
Look at this, a coat of arms, right here. What do you think, friend? This is incredible.
The giraffe leaned closer to the painting. I see a tall tree, he said proudly. The monkey laughed. That's not a tree. That's a river. Kofi simply smiled. Art meant different things to different animals. But one animal refused to take the art seriously. The hyena laughed loudly. You animals are funny. It's just mud on a rock. Why are you acting like it's something special? Some animals began to feel unsure. That evening, Kofi stood quietly beside his paintings. The hyena's words echoed in his mind. Maybe they're right, he thought. Maybe my paintings don't matter. For the first time, Kofi felt unsure about his art. Just then, a small elephant calf walked slowly toward the rocks. The calf stared at the paintings with wide eyes. Then the little elephant smiled. I like them. Kofi looked surprised. Why do you like them? Kofi asked gently. The calf replied with a simple answer. Because they make the world feel happy. At that moment, Kofi understood something important. Art wasn't about being useful. It was about making others feel something. Inspired by those words, Kofi began painting again. This time with more energy than ever. His trunk moved quickly across the rock. Colors swirled together like wind and water. The painting grew bigger and brighter than any before. The animals gathered quietly. Even the hyenas stopped laughing. They watched as the giant painting slowly came to life. It showed rivers, clouds, animals, stars, all flowing together. When the lion Baraka heard about the new painting, he returned to the river. The animals stepped aside respectfully. The king walked forward slowly. His golden eyes examined the masterpiece. For a long moment, the lion said nothing. Then he nodded slowly. This is not just modern art, Baraka declared. This is the story of the savannah. The animals erupted in cheers. From that day forward, Kofi was known across the savannah. Not just as an elephant, but as the elephant who could paint. And every animal remembered the lesson his art had taught them. News about Kofi's paintings spread far beyond the river. Animals from distant parts of the savannah began traveling long distances just to see the famous painting elephant. Some walked for hours. Others followed the stories carried by the wind. Everyone wanted to see the colorful rocks for themselves. Even the birds became curious. They flew down from the trees and perched on branches above the paintings. From high above, they could see the shapes and colors clearly. To them, the paintings looked like rivers flowing through the land. The old tortoise walked slowly around the rock. He studied every line carefully. He murmured. These paintings remind me of ancient stories. The animals leaned closer. When the tortoise spoke, everyone listened. Meanwhile, Zuri the monkey had become very busy. He proudly collected berries, leaves, and clay for Kofi. Only the best colors for our famous artist, he shouted. The animals laughed, but they appreciated his help. One day Kofi painted something different. Dark colors swirled across the rock. Sharp lines moved like lightning. The animals stared in surprise. It looks like a storm, whispered the zebra. Kofi smiled. That morning he had been thinking about thunder clouds.
Look at that lightning! It's so bright and scary, but beautiful too. A powerful storm.
But the hyena still wasn't convinced. He sat on a nearby rock and rolled his eyes. "All of you are imagining things," he said. "It's just colors on a rock." But even he couldn't stop watching. He had an idea. Instead of painting what he saw, he would paint what he felt. Something deeper. Something bigger than shapes and colors. That night, Kofi painted under the moonlight. White dots became stars. Dark blues became the sky. Bright swirls became the glowing moon. The rock slowly turned into a picture of the night itself. When the animals saw the new painting, they were amazed. "It looks like the sky," one whispered. "It feels peaceful," said another. Even the hyena was quiet. The painting made everyone feel calm. From the shadows, the lion Baraka watched silently. He didn't speak. But he understood something important. The elephant wasn't just making pictures. He was telling stories. Over time, the riverbank became filled with painted rocks. Each one told a different story. Storms, rivers, sunsets, dreams. The savannah had slowly become an outdoor gallery. Soon the animals began helping in new ways. Birds brought colorful feathers. Monkeys brought bright berries. Even the giraffe carried flowers with his long neck. Everyone wanted to be part of the art. Slowly, something surprising happened. The hyena stopped laughing. He stood quietly in front of one painting for a long time. For the first time, he wasn't making jokes. He was thinking. "I still don't understand the paintings," he admitted. "But they make this place feel different." The animals smiled. Sometimes understanding art wasn't the most important thing. Feeling it was. The lion stepped forward and looked at Kofi proudly. "You are no longer just an elephant," he declared. "You are an artist of the savannah." The animals cheered loudly. Kofi lifted his trunk happily. The lion stepped forward and looked at Kofi proudly. "You are no longer just an elephant," he declared. "You are an artist of the savannah." The animals cheered loudly. Kofi lifted his trunk happily.